So we're moving into looking at marketing, sales and finance. And might help if I move the slide on a little bit for you. Few key thoughts. Not enough room on the slides to put it all, but the challenge for marketing, cut through the noise and land personal messages at scale. We're all quite confident, and all of our organizations probably do marketing, and we do messaging to people, and we send out perhaps some emails and so on to groups of people. But AI is now perhaps enabling us to do this as individual, personalized, targeted emails, as opposed to more or less the one-size-fits-all type of model. Sales, again, limited resources, so need to be targeted on the highest potential opportunities. But what are they? Can we use AI to look at the patterns of sales wins and sales losses in the past and see if that informs us about what the potential is and who is most likely to buy from us? And finance, of course. There's been a lot of mention of Excel during the day, but it's moving from Excel to from reporting to forecasting. But just before we jump in there, Denis made a really interesting offer to me during the break. So I'd like to give him 1 minute to explain what that offer is. It's an offer to you, not to me.
Hi guys, just there's a lot of interest at the break time. People were saying, okay, where do you start, or how do you kind of get this working? So here's an offer. Would anybody be interested in doing a TEKenable Microsoft hackathon, where we will kind of invite you back to Microsoft for maybe 2 or 3 hours and walk you through how you would build some of these co-pilot agents to help your own working life? Again, maybe have that Damascus moment I had a couple of weeks ago. Is there any interest? Okay, let's make that happen in the next couple of weeks. Okay, great.
Thank you, Denis. Okay. I'd like to introduce Eamonn King, Chief Information Officer and Director of ITC.
Thanks, Pete. I think I'll stand down here, just make it a little bit easier. So I've worked with independent trustee for the last 7 years. My previous experience was in retail, and my first job was actually installing ATMs, cash machines, and we had lots of fun with those. So the agenda today, just give you a brief introduction on ITC, our digitization journey since I joined the company in 2017, and then just some highlights of the challenges we had in sales, marketing, and finance, and where we are in our AI roadmap. So essentially, ITC, we're the leading provider in self-invested solutions, established in '94, so we're over 30 years old. 3.5 billion in assets, 28 billion in self-administered assets, and over 5,500 schemes, so pension schemes essentially. And we pride ourselves in high quality professional pension trustee services and are known for our technical skills. And we also operate a joint venture with International Pensions in Malta. So we've kind of got that joint venture on the road. Okay. So the product range we have, we deal with IRPs, we've got BOB, buyout bonds, PRSAs, and ARFs. We used to have SAS, but the government decided to get rid of those. So they're the product range we have at the moment. We use those products, then the other investment options. We deal in property, so we're probably one of the biggest landlords in Ireland because we hold properties on behalf of our clients. We do investments, bespoke investments, and regulated investments. Again, this is just illustrating the type of the properties that we have. So our digitization journey began when I joined in 2017. So what we had when we started, we had Access databases, our compliance department, and our sales department used that to generate various documents and to do reports on compliance. Excel reports, we had Sugars, CRM, QuickBooks for finance. Our opportunities were all run on Excel spreadsheets. Liquidity calculations, which were really important. So when someone's investing, essentially, we ran these on Excel spreadsheets. But it's really important for those to make sure there's enough money to pay the bills over the next 5 years. So they were really, really important, and we were running those on Excel spreadsheets. And we did have an iTrust annual valuations and accounts system that was built by TEKenable prior to, actually I think was built by Noel prior to me joining. So the challenges, the data were in silos, there was no single source of truth. All the data was manually updated, MIS reporting was limited, visibility of debtors was only available to the finance team, so it meant lots of toing and froing. And we had a lot of paper applications, and they provided their own challenges in that, data was missing, incomplete, took months to onboard new schemes, and getting errors back, getting errors corrected was also a challenge because we had to rely on the postal system. And then support for all these various systems were complex. So we started out our journey with, we went to tender. There was several companies, including TEKenable, in that tender process, and we started the journey then with TEKenable, with Dynamics 365 was the chosen product that we decided to go ahead with. So we put our sales and opportunities, stroke leads, onto the system. Our new business onboarding and broker portal were developed. And we then had lots of integrations, so we utilized other technologies like DocuSign, KYC, so for onboarding applications you have to have AML, anti-money laundering requirements to make sure that clients are genuine, and then auto address lookup to get, so this was all about data quality and speeding up the whole process. So we handled our errors electronically then. We had put in fee deal management, so basically sometimes there was fee deals because there was a dispute over fees, and a fee would be changed, but someone would forget then to put it back into place. And then I talked about understanding if monies were owed on particular schemes, so we put that module in as well, outstanding fees. We then utilized Power BI reporting, which was revolutionary, and our finance director took that on and built some phenomenal reports linking Dynamics plus the old iTrust system, and producing some fantastic reporting. We also then put our compliance department and a knowledge database onto the system. The next step in the plan was marketing. So again, it was all about keeping the marketing lists up to date, and that was a challenge. We then so it's kind of just pre-COVID, we started with the customer service app. So SLAs, introduced customer voice, because that was becoming a challenge for us. Customer service was paramount. It was really important that we provided a good service. And then, as I mentioned, liquidity calculations earlier. And then in order then to manage the properties, the fund, the loan notes and standard, we put in the investment management module during COVID. And recently, so last year was really busy, we put in Business Central and our broker commissions module. And then we had a really complex process for managing schemes moving from one product to another. And we introduced this switching activities, and that took possibly a year to get the documents together, to understand the process and make sure that we had every control in there, because we had lots of delays, lots of complaints in that area. So in sales, so as I say, 80% of all the applications had errors, delays in getting errors resolved. We had no visibility of the pipeline, so essentially the pipeline was a pile of paper sitting on someone's desk. So you never knew at a management team how much pipeline was sitting out there that could be processed. So onboarding of new business was on average taking 3 months due to errors, due to people not signing documents, etc. And then manual creation of documentation and email generation, so communication back out to our clients and brokers. So the solution was the sales and new business app to record the leads, etc. And assisting in predicting future Finance, again, this was, we have our iTrust system and that produced the annual accounts and generated the invoices. We had QuickBooks for generating the invoices. So essentially the challenge was there was delays in transferring data. There's a lot of checking and validation of the data. So with the introduction of APIs and Business Central, it allowed us then send the invoices to the Business Central product, to a staging table. We knew that because of all the work we have done, we knew the data then was correct, so it sped up the process for the sales team, the finance team. That was one of the challenges, and that's why the broker portal was really important, because we give the portal to the broker, they have access, they went to the client and they filled out the applications. So it meant that because we had mandatory fields, you select one option, and it meant the applications were coming in better. So rather than having 80% of errors, we then turned that around where 80% of the applications were coming in correct, with the correct AML and the correct documentation. And we were then only dealing with the exceptions, so 20% of the errors. And the key about the 20% of the errors, that actually give us visibility on the pipeline that wasn't already submitted. Okay, so maybe I'll go back to so basically the onboarding, we introduced the error notification, the integration with DocuSign, ensured that we got the applications back quicker. So that's a really, really fast process. If there was errors in the documentation, so rather than highlighting where the error was in the paper application and posting it back to the broker then having to arrange to meet the client, and then getting it countersigned, and then all that process of posting it back and coming back into the office. So now if there's an error, we essentially fix it on the back office, and we basically resend out the DocuSign. So now it's 2 to 3 days for onboarding an application as opposed to 3 months. And essentially during COVID, it was the saving grace of the company in that because we were fully online, we didn't have to deal with paper and all those other things. We now have 100% of our brokers online submitting applications this way. Don't get me wrong, there was resistance at the start. We did a lot of training, so there was a lot of non-IT stuff in it where we did training videos, and we did a lot of those ancillary things to ensure that we got adoption from the brokers. And the portal, in essence, now is, my view of it is, it's a self-service for the brokers. We've added lots of other items onto it as the years went on. And our brokers, some of them they work on their own. There could be multiple brokers, but the beauty about the portal is it's available 24 hours by 365 a day. And we've got a knowledge database in there. And we also showed them, so we've got along the bottom, you can see the business process flow in the back office that the new business team go through. And essentially now we've got infographics explaining all those in our knowledge database. The broker then can view where his application is at. So previously it was phone calls, trying to follow up with people. So what we're doing now is we're trying to push back that to the brokers. Yeah. Well, students, yeah. So with the volume of business we're doing now, we wouldn't be able to do it without the system, essentially. We're also in, there is a reference on the next slide, mode from our sales, oh no, sorry, that's the slide after that then. Our sales manager, basically, it's opened up huge opportunities for him. We're able to buy books of business, onboard them really quickly, and it's been a game changer for us. Sorry, Yamoko. So in relation to marketing, obviously, again, it's all about the data being in several silos. We were using an external system, so we couldn't react as quick as we wanted. If there was changes in legislation, for example, on one of our product SKUs, PRSAs or whatever, we weren't able to communicate quickly. We had to bring someone else into play. So the solution allowed us linked to our database, so it's all within Dynamics. We were able to then, use segments to segment the data. We've been able to do targeting campaigns. So, for example, if someone's coming up to retirement, we need to write out to them about funding and various things. We're able to identify that now by using our database and target those clients and give them the information they need on decisions about their pension fund. We have customer journeys in place, and obviously then the other thing that was really, so you don't want to write to people that, they're deceased or their schemes are closed, because that really frustrates people and upsets people. So for us now, we change a flag on the system as soon as we know any of those conditions are met, and then our marketing lists are updated, our segments are updated really quickly. Okay, Mo. So we were talking a little bit about Business Central. So the integration was really important to us. So from our iTrust system, the invoices are now generated, sent to a staging table. Our finance department then validate those and progress with the system. The one thing our finance department didn't, there was huge changes between QuickBooks and Business Central, in that QuickBooks was a little bit more flexible in that if you needed to change something, you could. And that was one thing they had to learn, that in Business Central, it's locked down, and if you need to credit an invoice, you have to credit. You can't change the invoice and do things like that. And then again, we're going back to the broker portal, where we wanted our brokers to know where people were in the annual accounts process, when we paid them, what schemes were awaiting valuations. For them, that was really important, because they like to know when they're getting paid and what monies are coming in and what schemes those are related to. So again, it's getting more value out of the original project we did for onboarding the applications. So now pushing that information back to the portal. Okay, Mo. On our AI roadmap, so in partnership with TEKenable, we have looked at AI initiatives, and based on our product suite, so we're completely Microsoft applications, so Dynamics, Business Central, Power BI, etc. And we've categorized them into various different ones, some that we can do really quickly, some that medium term, some long term. So it's one of our main pillars in our strategy plans for the next 3 years. And it's not for me to drive AI. I'm going to bring the management team along with us on that journey so that we have buy-in, and we find key projects that will really assist the business. Sorry, Mo, and then the final one. Yeah, so for me, where can I see, and this is selfish on my part, but it may not be the management team's view, but customer services, we handle, we have about 1,800 cases that need to be actioned every week, so it's a significant amount of cases. We're on average, we are closing cases, but on average we have about 2,500 to 2,000 active cases open on the system at any given time. For us, that's a challenge, and it's something that, you know, AI should be able to help us with to get to the really important cases. Extending our knowledge database and using AI to enhance its functionality, so to try and, so when we're not outside of our core hours, our brokers are still working, they still work late at night, they still work at weekends, because if I look at the system, sometimes I can see a lot of the new business applications, they're coming in late at night or over the weekends when these people are available. So for me, we're pushing more value into that, and AI potentially can help assist us more in that area. Fabric and data science are something else, so I'd love to see us. We try to model changes, so if we want to change pricing, we're trying to model those. We're trying to do them in Excel, and it's not really that easy. So for me, that's another area I'd like us to see. And finally, then looking at machine learning as well. Okay, I think that's the final slide, Mo.
I think the theme from Eamonn is that now that all the data and the processes are mapped into a platform, that's where the roadmap came from, is, okay, now that you have everything in the place where you can utilize AI, in what sequence should you adopt, and what are the low-hanging fruits, and how do you go into the complex cases? But the business has kind of been setting itself up for this through that digitization or digital transformation journey is kind of the key theme here. There's a video coming up demonstrating, it's a recording by one of my colleagues, Sahil.
Welcome to another segment for AI in Action with TEKenable. Here we are in Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central, and I will be demonstrating how Copilot can assist with generating self-service analysis reports. Here I am in the customer list, and you can see in the top left-hand side, I have my Copilot icon, and this can be used in almost any list page. I can click this and begin to enter in my request in natural language. You do not need to be perfect here. I will first ask a simple question such as, who are my top customers? As you can see, it has provided a list sorted by the sales descending. You will also notice it has determined it would be helpful for me to see the country for each customer, which I didn't ask for. The great thing about this is that this feature may either provide the exact response you require, or can be used as a foundation to then iterate and adapt, with most the heavy lifting being done for you. I can then either ask an additional question such as group by country, and it will iterate for me. Else I can simply use the tools available on page to add remove columns, change groupings, sort, filter, and more. There are also some prompt guides available here where you can see some of the functions you may want to use to get you started. If you see the top of this page, you will notice a tab has been created. This will now be stored for me the next time I come to this page and use this analysis mode. I can also rename and even share this to others. This natural language function is supported for more than 20 languages and growing. Another feature that we are excited about is the Copilot chat feature, as you can see in the top right-hand corner. And when I click this, you'll see a chat window appear. At the top, you can see I can use it to find, explain, and guide or ask it questions. As shown a moment ago, I can also use it to generate on-the-fly reports, such as to show low stock items by category, and it will go away and begin creating a report with a very simple query. It will securely consult online resource for questions regarding the application itself, for example, for how do I questions, and the data within Business Central for more targeted business queries. For example, show me the latest invoice. We have found this is very useful for senior team members who are not using the application day to day but need information and want to self-serve. Now the data has appeared, I can begin my analysis or perhaps tweak the filters, in this case to extend what it determines to be low stock, which is currently assumed as 10. I can easily change it to 20. Again, the heavy lifting has been done for me, saving my team and time and effort. I can also export to Excel should I require to perform further formatting and processing. And I will be demonstrating how Copilot can assist with bank reconciliation. On the left-hand side, I have my bank statement entries that I'll import from a CSV file, and on the right-hand side, I have payments and cash receipts that have been posted on the system prior, ready for reconciliation. You can see here I have a couple of entries that are cash receipts, some refunds, and at the bottom, some supplier payments outbound. Now, normally we would start one by one, selecting entries on either side of the screen and matching each manually. Now, this could be a fairly cumbersome process where you might have a high number of transactions to reconcile. If I try to match automatically using standard functionality, it will make an attempt to actually match using its own algorithms and logic. But as you can see here, A number of lump payments that have come into the bank match multiple entries that are posted in our ledger. This is where that Copilot comes in the top right-hand corner. If I click reconcile, very quickly Business Central will leverage Copilot and perform a set of matches it thinks applies. And as you can see, we have a 100% match right here, where we can see that we have a number of transactions that are being matched with and without Copilot. I can also verify those one-to-many applications and override manually, should I require, and when I press, okay, you'll now see that all my transactions have been matched with little to no effort from the user. This is a fantastic example of how we could save our teams time leveraging best-in-class technology and allow AI to do the heavy lifting, so we could focus on the priority and the value-adding activity. Thank you very much for your time, and see you in the following segments. If you'd like to know more, please don't hesitate to reach out to our team. I would also like to note that I, myself, am an AI-generated narrator.
Just needs to speak up louder.
Just a quick.
Sahil thought that was a kind of nice party trick to just do the whole narration with AI.
Sorry about the sound quality there. We will send out a link afterwards. We weren't anticipating having a full-blown discotheque going on behind us either. I feel I should be dancing across the stage or something, but nobody really wants that. So we've actually done the Q&A with Eamonn. Again, we're happy. We'll stay behind during the lunch break and stuff if people want to talk to us. But I want to introduce, last but not least, Professor Anthony. Nick gave him a bit of an introduction earlier today, and I'm really looking forward to what he has to say, because this is the guy that's really driving us forward and pushing us on the research agenda.
I'm a bit disappointed because I told Jenny that the music should start while I'm moving up the room. So I have a little dance ready, but I won't do it, obviously. You'll have to come to the next TEKenable event while I have the dance ready. So, do I have the clicker? Yeah. Yeah, perfect. So I'm an academic, and because I'm an academic, I don't do things I'm told to do, so that's the wrong title. It should be Future of AI. And I will start with a conclusion as well. And the conclusion is AI is, it's an amazing sort of change of paradigm, if you like, in a lot of different disciplines. So I'm a software engineer myself, data engineer / software engineer, if you like. And the revolution in this field is really huge. And I know that as a conclusion, again, I think I could say that. So I was trying to remember, because obviously I didn't put the quote in the slides, but I remember a quote by a VP of AI at I believe, IBM, who said that deploying an AI agent is about 5% AI and 100% software engineering, okay? And so that's really a difficulty. You need integration, you need to test the reliability, you need to do some monitoring to make sure that everything works properly. And one of the advantages of working with TEKenable and with the Microsoft platform is that this is kind of solved, or they can help you solve all these problems. So you're really in the right place if you want to deploy and if you want to use AI. But the advantage of AI is clear, be it in software engineering, my field, and I have a couple of examples on that, but also in any knowledge-based or knowledge-intensive engineering or job. So I just wanted to start with a little description of the research I do, and that's probably going to be most of my presentation. So I'm interested in doing something that I call better research, or research that would be grounded in real-world applications. So we like building, in my team, building real applications and observing them, if you like, in the wild with a lot of users, with complex system that contains AI components, have been generated by AI, but contains a lot of different components. And I have a few examples, and so there's two sort of side effects to that, if you like. The first one is, well, it's an interesting project with very interesting research extracted from running things in the wild and seeing when they break and so on and so forth. But also it's a great way to attract great students that can be passionate about the project and not so much about how do you test, how do you do better unit test, or how do you do code review? But if you do code review for sign language recognition, that's really cool and really interesting. The second thing is obviously it's good for our funders and the taxpayers to show them that there's real benefits to the research we do, societal benefits, industrial benefits, and so on and so forth. So that's really the way we do research, and it works very well. And it works so well that I have some of my best students that are now joining TEKenable, like Jane over there, and I'm really proud of that. So the few examples I have here, the first one on the left over there was actually, I remember being here about 6 years ago. I think it was this room, but without this wall. It was a bit bigger maybe. We did a project with Microsoft and some NGOs, and it was simple, a chatbot for refugees. It was used by some NGOs in Lebanon and Syria. And we had some kids testing it, and it was really cool. And it was an amazing project. It opened loads of my research directions. How do you test chatbots? How do you make sure that the quality of the data is correct? And there was plenty of questions of the like these ones. And we had a little blog post written by Brad Smith, the president of Microsoft, at the time, and still is, I believe. Yeah. Thanks. So he mentioned our work, and there was a little video during the event, and I didn't know it was happening, so that I was really kind of shocked, and it was really cool. I had about 15 students, master students, working on this project, for instance, and we really built, we had a series of MVPs and all the likes, and it was really deployed in the field. But it opened some questions, and you can see one at the top over there, where we looked at dataset auditing, making sure that the dataset is correct when you train your chatbots. So we were using LUIS, which is not a large language model. It's an intent-based language understanding. I'm sure Pete would explain more about that. But we do look at datasets, and one of the results of our research was MIT took down one of their datasets because we realized that it was a bit dodgy, to say the least. We work also in testing models themselves, so not only the dataset, but the models, like in the case of sign language, where we did a long study of all the sign language recognition models that exist, and we discovered that there were some problems with them. So more recently, we have a project with the RFU, and one of the advantages to be in an academic team is that you can it's not that easy, but you can find people with a diverse background, and I have just an example here with Quilan, with an undergraduate and a postgraduate student in computer science. And in this project where we analyze rugby tackling, for instance, she has no rugby background, but she started after writing code on script to find rugby problems and questions we could ask. We have Catherine Dane, a former international rugby player and captain for Ulster Rugby, who's a sports scientist, and he's probably the one who writes most of the Python code at this stage. So you can see, well, we bring people with different backgrounds, and we get very interesting projects, and it's easier to build them and create them when we have this diversity. And more recently, so like 2 months ago, about 2 months ago announced, I have this project with TEKenable where we look at AI in the context, so not so much software engineering for AI, if you like, creating a system with AI components, but which is most of what we've discussed so far, but how can we use AI for the software engineering itself, so AI for software engineering, which is the reason I had this title before. How much time do we have? 2 more minutes? 1 more minute? What? Okay, negative. I'll just finish with this one. So recently you've probably seen this one where the Google CEO announced that 25% of their code was written by AI. It obviously is really, really impressive. You assume that there's plenty in the background around that, and there's plenty of challenges still around AI, especially when you're introducing in a software engineering domain, but it's really amazing how the field is changing and shifting. I'm going just to finish on, on this one. So I did a bit, for the past few years, I've looked at the literature on software engineering, and it is really impressive in academia. We're always a bit behind because it takes a lot of time to do the research, write the paper, get it accepted, and so on and so forth. But the first result I get into 2 different fields of code generation and testing is, it works very well. not always in terms of speeding up the engineering process, but definitely in terms of quality. And we still need to explore why that's the case and how we can help with that, and in particular with the speeding up. There's a lot of supports in terms of the interaction that the developers can have with the AI. It's not just write the code, but I don't like that code, so can I have a different version? Or can you make sure that the functionality is here, but there's no non-functional properties as well, performance, etc., that are respected or followed? All these elements are really impressive. And if I have negative time, I think I can stop here. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Professor. Now, I was due to waffle on for another 5 minutes. I'm not going to try and keep you to the lunch break. So, Annette, it's over to you. I don't think we've got slides for this bit. So.
So I just wanted to close out maybe with some potential next actions. Firstly, again, just to reiterate what everyone has said, thank you so much for taking the time out today. I know half a day out of the calendar is an investment on your part, and if you got 1 or 2 nuggets from it, then we're really, really grateful for your time. Obviously, Denis mentioned earlier about the hackathon, and we will absolutely certainly go ahead with that. There's also, I wanted to just make you aware, there's funding available from Microsoft. So because TEKenable have an advanced specialization in AI and machine learning, we can access funding on your behalf from Microsoft to run proof of values or to offset some of the costs of any of these projects that you might look at. So that's always available to you, and we can help unlock that. We also, doing the salesy bit, just have to do it before we close out. We also have a couple of discovery workshops, either around Fabric or around AI. So if it is the point that you want to get maybe 5 or 6 people from your organization into a room, do a little bit of level setting on knowledge, and then investigate where some of this stuff might work for you, that tends to work really well. It's a small investment to try and just lock down maybe 1 or 2 use cases.